Hey everybody, Patty Ann here again today. I'm going to show you how to take this bag right here, and rather than it having a little girl fairy on it, I'm going to make one for a little boy. This one was for my granddaughter Layla. The other one's going to be for my grandson Levi. They're twins, so I have to make them both something. They're 4 years old. So what I'm doing right now is I've already sprayed this fabric with Material Magic, which looks like this, and I'll have it linked for you down below. And what this is doing is it's taking my fabric and making it nice and stiff so that it's going to be really easy to cut. And today I'm going to cut it on my Cricut machine. I know a lot of you have said, can you show us how it works on the Cricut as well as on your portrait? So I'm going to do that today. Even though my portrait is really tiny and convenient, I love using it, and it really is my go-to machine. I do have my Cricut, and I'll do that next. So after I put this Material Magic on here, then I am going to put the Steam 2 light on the back of these as well. So it'll help it stick to my Cricut mat. Okay, I have my Steam 2 light. I'm going to tear it apart. One part is sticky and one is not. I can throw away the sticky piece or use that, and I'll show you how. This is batik fabric, so it doesn't really have a wrong way and a right way. So I'm just going to place this down on here like that. And then I can use this piece over top when I iron it so it doesn't stick to my iron. Oops. So you see nothing stuck to my iron. And now what I can do is, actually I could leave this on here. It'll make it a little easier to cut. I can just take my scissors and just cut around here like this. So what I'll be left with is the fabric piece, the batik piece with Material Magic on it and Steam 2. I'm just going to cut this in my Cricut, which I'll show you in a moment, which is the regular blade. I've not used my Cricut for a while, so I might have to putz around to see what setting to use for it, for my fabric. So there's that. There's that piece. And this piece. This wraps. And now I'm going to take you up to my computer screen so you can see, excuse me, how I've changed this pattern up in Embroidery software. Okay, if you look up here, I have my Creative Kiwi embroidery bag opened up. I'm just going to click on it and come up here and go to Edit, Ungroup All. So that's going to allow me to take this little girl off of here. So I'm just going to grab, stuff from her and delete on my keyboard, and just drawing a box around things to delete her. Okay, so now I just have the zipper bag, and that's exactly what I want because I'm going to put my own image on here. So I'm going to go to File, and let's see. I'm thinking maybe, well, I'm just going to go to File and Open because I'm going to open a new design. So I'm going to go back up here, and it's in my Animal Friends designs. I'm going to get this lion and open him. And there he is. Perfect, just like that. So here he is over here too. If you click on this plus sign, you can see all the parts that make him up. So I'm going to have to go and ungroup him as well. So I'll click on him and say Edit, Ungroup All, and I should be able to start moving off pieces. Because, you know what, before I do that though, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and go back to where I ungrouped him. I'm going to copy him, and I'm going to bring him over here into this, and I'm going to paste him in here. Okay, just like that. And we can see he's going to fit on there perfectly. He'll look really cute. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to this one to show you how I changed some more of this. when I came up here and I said edit, ungroup all, I just started taking pieces off of him because all I want to be left with is the one, when I accidentally took one of them off that I shouldn't have, I just want one of these inside or bottommost pieces because I'm going to use this piece to be my embroidery pieces that I'm going to cut with my Cricut. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on this and come over here to where it says blue, the color, click on that, and it opens up this box that allows me to go to the word applique, and I'm going to change this and make it applique position. And it's going to inflate it or make it 1.5 millimeters bigger, which is great. I'm just going to say save, and it's going to let me save it now for an SVG if I want, or I can save it for my silhouette. I'm going to save it as an SVG for Cricut, and let's see how this works. This is going to be different. I've not done this actually yet. So I'm going to name it Cricut cut file. The only thing I'm wondering about is I wonder if I need to save the size in that as well. Well, let's see. It's 2.5 inches wide. So let me just put that in the beginning of this, just in case. 2.5, because I always like to save the width. And I'll say save. And say OK, and get rid of that. So this really should be this whole thing should be 2.5. Let's see if that looks right. 1, 2.5. That looks perfect. So let's go ahead and open up Cricut Design Space now. And I'm going to do a new project, upload. Okay, this happened to me one other time when I was doing this. I'll restart Cricut Design Space. So I'm going to start Cricut Design Space again. Aha, maybe that's why. Gives me a chance for a sip of coffee. Okay, now make it larger, and I'm going to, wait, what is this? I don't need to know about that. Done. All right, so I'm going to do a new project, upload an image, browse, and I'm going to go into that same folder, and here's where it was, animals, Cricut file. Looks good. Upload, and insert it, and let's see what size it comes in at. It's actually pretty good. It's 2.591. So I'm going to change it to 2.5 and hit enter. Okay, so now I'm ready to cut this. So let's go to my Cricut machine. Okay, as you can see, what I actually did with this piece was I ungrouped it and then I changed the color by coming right up here so that they would go on two different mats because I wasn't exactly sure with my little piece, and I'll show you what I mean now. If you look down here, I've already cut one of the little pieces, and I just used this odd-shaped piece, as you saw me put the Tiro Magic on, and I cut it, and it cut out perfectly. So that's his little head. I can take that off the mat carefully. And then the next one I'll do is I'll put the other piece on. So again, the Tiro Magic, the Steam-A-Seam 2 sticky part goes down and the other part goes up. So let's see, I'm going to go to make it on my Cricut and make sure I'm putting this in the right place. So I just need it right up here, like this. The important thing to remember is take your little squeegee tool, and here's mine. Take your little squeegee tool and really squeegee this down. Probably not on the that so it adheres well. And then just stick it in here. Whoops, I've got to go to send it or continue. And what I chose, let me have you go back up here and see, for my cutting of this, what I chose was I went to browse all materials, and then I went to categories and I said fabric. And the one I chose was the fusible fabric and said done. And then the button's blinking, so I can just hit go. Oh, I thought I already hit go. I don't know. It says it's preparing. Sorry about that. So I'm just making sure that none of that's coming up as it's cutting. And just like with my silhouette machine, I like to peek first before I totally take it out to make sure it cut right, because I could recut it if I needed to, but this cut perfectly, so I can eject it just like that. So there is the body that I need of his. And I'll put that off to the side too. And now I'll move my Cricut back out of the way. Okay, we're just about ready to get started, but I need to show you something else that we need to do in Embroidery Essentials. So here's the little lion that I'm going to do. And if we watch how this is going to stitch out this bag, you'll see that I'm going to have an issue. So I'll come up here to this little thing that looks like a needle, and it's the stitch simulator. And when I click on that, there's a little box right here that I can just move over here, and we can watch, whoopsie, stitch by stitch what it's going to do. So it's going to start just like in yesterday's, giving us the shape of the bag and then where the zipper goes. And then it's going to stitch under the zipper and on top of the zipper. And then it's going to do the decorative stitch. And it's going to go around and do the other decorative stitch. And then it's going to finish up the bag like that. And now the bag would be totally finished and sewn together. And at this point is when it's going to start putting my lion on here, which is a real problem because that would sew the whole bag together. So we need to make it so the lion is not the very end thing, but the stitching up of this bag is. So how we can do that is come over here in the Objects panel, and I'm just going to do this, open that up, and I'm going to take him and drag him right above step number 10. So let's see how that's going to work now. So if we go back to the stitch simulator, and I can start again, the outside of the bag, the placement for the zipper, the stitches for the zipper, the pretty stitches, the other pretty stitches, and now the lion, all of the lion parts. And when he's totally done, then it's going to start doing the last stitches for the bag, and that's perfect. That's just the way we want it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to File and Save Stitch File. And I'm actually I'll save it right here, I guess, first. Lion bag in hoop. And I'll save it as the PES. But I'm also going to save it on my thumb drive so I can take it right over to my machine. Okay, I have all the supplies that I need now for my little bag. I'm going to use this pretty ribbon because it kind of matches the colors that I'm going to use, and there I have them stuck right here for his head and his body. I'm going to try to remember to put this in there this time, the felt, to give it an extra stability. This is the back. It's kind of like a suede material. This is the top, and notice I do label everything again. Top 6x7. This is the bottom that's 14x7. So, and I have my 5x7 hoop right here ready to go. So I'm going to bring over, let's see, I've got a file and save the stitches. And I'm going to save it. So let me show you. So I'm going to go to File and Save Stitches, and this time I'm not going to save it in that folder. I'm going to save it in my thumb drive or my USB drive. And I'm just going to save it right here. I'll name it Lion Bag. Okay, and I'll just say Save. Once that's saved, I can take that out of my computer and bring it over here and put the thumb drive, and I don't think you can see the thumb drive, right in here for my machine. Sorry about my head. There we go. Okay, so there's the thumb drive in there now. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is, again, these printed directions that we used the other day will be perfect for this, other than I'll have to refer to my computer because I won't have the stitch information for the lion in here. So the first thing we do, just like yesterday, obviously turn on the machine. And the first thing it's going to ask me to do is to touch this. And then it's going to say it's going to move the carriage. Is that okay? Oh, yes, of course it is okay. And then I'm going to look in this little button, which is my thumb drive. And it's retrieving the patterns. And I'm just going to hit this little arrow until I get to the one that looks like the lion in the bag. That's the little girl. That's that. There's the lion in the bag, I believe, and I'll put that up like that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hoop my tearaway stabilizer. So also in today's video, I won't need to go ahead and do any kind of wings first because my little lion doesn't have any wings. So I'm just going to hoop this tearaway stabilizer. Again, I make sure that the red dot that I placed on there is at the top of my hoop, and make sure this is nice and tight. And I can come in here and finger tighten this a little bit. And I just want to make sure that this is like a drum like that. So I'm going to insert this, but before I do, I think I'll just use this orangey color so that it will show up and you can see what I'm doing again. Let's see. I'm just threading my machine. And checking my bobbin, it looks like I have a lot of bobbin thread in there, so I'm ready to go. Okay. All right, we're ready to stitch number 1, which is going to do the outline of the bag and show me where to put the zipper. So I'll put down my presser foot and stitch. Okay, I don't have the perfectly colored zipper, but the one that I do have will be fine. So go ahead, and maybe you can see this line right here. That's the line that tells me where to put the teeth of my zipper. So I'm going to take the zipper again, put it like this, right side up, meaning the pull is right here, right side up, and I'm going to tape it right over that line. And my zipper's too long, but that's okay because I can trim it off later. So I'll take some first, make sure it's adhered, and then I'm just going to peek and make sure that the zipper teeth are going right over top of that stitching line. Perfect. Then I'm going to get another piece of tape. I'm putting the tape outside of the stitching line. Go like this, peek again, make sure that those teeth are going over the stitching line. Okay. Okay. So now I'm ready to put this back in there, and it's going to stitch the line above the zipper and the line below the zipper. And it doesn't matter what color of thread I have in my machine at this point. Okay, here we go. Put down my presser foot and stitch. Okay, and now stitch again. All right. So now what I can do is I can just remove this tape. Done using that. I can put it on the side of my table if I want to save it for something later. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold the top and the bottom pieces in half. Okay? Remember, this is the bottom piece, right? I can do that. And we're going to fold it in half and press it. Just like that. I love this little mat that I have. It's so handy for on my tabletop with my little iron. I think I said I was going to have it linked in yesterday's video, but I think I forgot. So there's that folded in half, 7 by 14 inches, and I made it 6 by 14, which makes this final square 6 by 7. But it's good. Make sure I get a nice little fold there. And since there's a little bit of a design on this backing fabric, I'm trying to make sure that it is straight where it's going to be up and seam. Okay, then the top, that's going to be folded. This was supposed to be 6 by 7. So let's see if I did that. 6 by, well, actually I made it a little bit too big, so let me make it smaller like it's supposed to be. So here's 6, and by 7, I can see that's right here on my little board. So these are my good scissors. Hopefully they'll be able to cut. Okay, the next thing I'm supposed to do is to fold this piece in half like that. And I'll fold it in half, and I'll make sure it's really nicely folded, and it's supposed to measure 7 by 3, which it does. So I'll just go ahead and iron that. And then I'm supposed to do the same thing, which I've already done with the brown piece. Next, I'll get out my hoop and put the fold of the smaller piece, of the top piece, so that the fold matches right up with the zipper teeth. And then you open it up, making sure that that fold stays up, lined up with the zipper teeth. I'm going to change the thread color to a blue, I guess. Just takes a moment to thread this little machine, and as you can see, I like to use a thread stand, the one that's right there to the right of my machine. It does make me happy that I don't have to kind of physically do the needle threading, you know, with my eyes peeking at it. I can use that little needle threader, which is fabulous. Okay, I'll put the presser foot down, and it's going to do its stitching. after it stitches this one line. Now this time I'm going to remember to use my felt. As you recall in yesterday's bag with the fairy, I forgot to put the felt in there. So it's at this point now that I can put the felt in, take the hoop out, raise the presser foot, and bring it out. And I'm going to put the felt so it matches up with that line of stitching I just did, and then fold the original piece back over. And if I'd like to, I can take my little iron and just give it a little press, just to keep it nice and exactly where I'd like it to be. Or I can just put it back in the machine. On the top piece, and I decided to just leave that color in there because that's my favorite color, teal kind of. So it's going to do those fancy stitches now, and then it will come back and have me put the brown piece in at the bottom. Okay, the fancy stitching or the decorative stitching has completed on the top part, so we're going to do the same thing we had done to the top on the bottom. In other words, we're going to put the fold line right up against the stitches that were put onto the zipper. Then we're going to open this piece up, being careful not to move it at all. Then we're going to put it back in the machine, and it's going to stitch it into place. After it stitches it into place, that's when I will add some more of the batting, or in my case, the felt, and continue on. And after the felt has been added, we'll do a few more stitching and then the decorative stitches. Okay, in case you wanted to see me add the felt again, I've taken the machine out of, or the hoop out of the machine. I've put the felt up against the stitching line and fold the other piece down over it, and then just simply put it back into the embroidery machine, and it'll stitch it into place. And then it will do the decorative stitching. Okay, now if you come back up here to my Embrilliance software, you'll see that we just finished this stitching right here. And the next thing that's going to happen, well, let's go through here and see. We've done all of this, and we've just done that, and you can see what's happening next. It's going to be the placement stitch for the lion. So let's go back over to the machine, and I'm going to change the color, I think, this time again. I'll change it to the goldish color that I'm going to be using. All right, and that will be the placement stitch for where I'm going to put my little embroidery pieces. Okay, as you'll notice, that put the placement lines here for my little pieces that I cut out with my Cricut. I'm going to place them right on here perfectly, making sure they cover up the lines like that. Take this other one, place it over here. Once I'm satisfied with how I have them placed on, I can take my little iron and give them a little heat press, and that'll really just hold them in place. And then I can bring this back into the machine. This is going to tack down the pieces, and then the next stitch we'll put a zigzag around. Okay, I've just finished doing the stitch to tack down. I just finished doing the zigzag around his head, which was this right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the next step, which happens to be his tail and this little darker part. So I'm going to do that in a dark brown. Hopefully his tail will show up if I do it in dark brown. Okay, I've done all of this stitching. Well, let me show you up here. I've done this stitching of his tail. I've done number 5, step number 5, which was all of this satin stitch around his legs. And now I'm doing his big mane. And I realized something. On Layla's, I had put her name. On Levi's, I did not. And I'm thinking maybe he would like his name on his as well. So I'm going to add his name by coming up here. Remember, when you click on this letter A up here, it automatically puts the ABC right in the center. I'll move it off the center, and I'll come way over here where it says text, and I'll type in Levi's name, all in caps also, and hit enter. And I can leave it like that, or I could change it to some other font if I'd like. Maybe I'll make his like that, since he'll be kind of regal, like the king of the forest, like that. It'll be tiny, but that will be good. Now, that's fine like that, but what I'll have to do is save my file again onto my thumb drive and reload it over there, because otherwise it's not on here, and it'll stitch at the very end, which you can see right now it's doing. So what do I need to do? Before the very end, I'm going to click on this, his name, click on his name and drag this up into the one above it, so that it's going to be step number 3, and it's going to do that before it does the final stitching of the bag. Okay, right now the eyes are being stitched, and after the eyes are stitched, it will type in or stitch in the name of Levi. Well, after the eyes and the nose and the mouth, and if you look up here at my computer screen, you'll see what I mean. So right now, I'm on this step right here. And then after that, it will do his name. And after this, all I have to do is put on the back, do the last bit of stitching, and then trimming, turning, and it is done. Ah, but don't forget about the handles. Yeah. All right, let's do this. Do his name. Oh my gosh, you guys, isn't that just the cutest thing ever? I love it. I think it turned out super cute. So now I'm ready to do the back. So let me get you down here a little bit so you can see, hopefully, and not fall over. My little iron out of the way. Okay, so I need to back out just a little bit. There we go. All right, so for the backing, remember what we do is you take this piece that's the backing piece, and you're going to put it right over top, right sides together of these two things, and you're just going to sew all the way around it. Okay, so the right sides are together so that when you flip it, it will be flipped perfectly. However, remember, you must open the zipper first before you do this, or you will be in a world of hurting. I promise you. Just cutting off a few strings. So there's the zipper open. And put this over top. Make sure that it's covering all of the stitching lines, and that's perfect. Very good. And then just place it back in here. And again, if you don't want to get your fingers too close, use a chopstick or a shish kebab stick. You don't have to worry about impaling your fingers. So I believe it's going to go around here twice, and then it's going to start to zigzag. After it's done zigzagging, I'll take it out and I'll cut right up close to the zigzag, but not over it, obviously. Okay, I've taken it off the hoop and I've trimmed all around the edges near the zigzagging. Now I'm just using a seam ripper to go right into where only the stabilizer is. I don't want to cut my fabric, but this works really well if you're careful. And of course, remember, we did use a tear away, so we can tear this away, hopefully, somewhat. There we go. So it's not going to get caught in the zipper. Okay, there's that part. And I'll do this side. Okay, and thankfully I remembered to open my zipper up, and now I can turn this, hopefully. If I need to, I can open my zipper a little bit more, maybe, if I can get my fingers in there, but not easily. So I guess I shall just try to turn it as is. So I said yesterday when I did Layla's, it was a little bit hard, and this one might be a little bit more difficult to turn because I did remember to use the felt or the batting to give it a little bit more oomph. But as I said yesterday, it's doable, definitely doable. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Look at that little face. I love it. Guess what I forgot? Who knew? I forgot the darn straps. Oh well, I can attach them by themselves. Son of a gun. Or maybe Levi doesn't want a strap. Maybe he doesn't want his like a purse. That could be. I think I'll go with that. He doesn't want to wear his with a handle like a purse. He just wants a nice bag for collecting stuff. Wonder what a kid might collect in here, right? The things you could collect. I think it's really cute. Oh my gosh, wait till I put it up close so you can see it. You're going to love it too. So again, all I did was I combined two different patterns or two different stitch files from Creative Kiwi. Then I added my own text, and OMG, that is just precious. And wouldn't it be nice? Ooh, you know what, you guys? I've been making all these little, where did I put them all? These little things. I could make one that matches a little, oh my gosh, that's a cute idea. But look how cute that is. Is that not adorable? Oh my gosh, I love it. I just love it. The backing's really nice. It's that suede kind of fabric. Well, anyway, if you like my tutorials, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified when I go live. Also, check out my links down below. If you have any questions about embroidery, let me know. I'll try to help you as much as I can. And I hope you liked that I used my Cricut machine today. So again, thanks for joining me. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.